To make concern, it's a cool podcast. Listen with your friends or listen with your dog, man. Subscribe today or I'll be in your closet. To make concern, that's a really cool podcast. Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of To Make Concern. We are back once again with another episode for y'all. I am your host, Will. The man to my right is Steven. I almost pointed that direction. And we are your people that you watch. If you've never seen the podcast before, this is where I deliver topics to Steven that he may or may not have knowledge on. And we just create conversations. Ain't that right, Steven?
Absolutely, yes, of course. That is completely 100% correct. I don't know why I sound sarcastic. That's literally what we do.
I don't know. Why do you sound sarcastic when saying that? Do you not believe? Do you not believe in our movement? Do you not believe in our?
Do you not believe in the vision?
Revolution? In our revolt? We're revolting against other podcasts.
Yeah, other podcasts are not allowed to exist because we exist. We are the
because
podcast.
We said so. Yes. Especially not other podcasts with our name. There are other podcasts that have our name. We are coming after y'all. You'll be hearing from our lawyers soon. We are the ones who are the only ones allowed with our name.
Yes, no one else is allowed to use the To Whom It May Concern name, including all of
No one's allowed to say To Make Concern at all. We're the only ones allowed to say that.
Yeah, it's a copyrighted term now.
Yes, we have copyrighted it, just like how the Fine Bros tried to copyright the word copyright.
What?
Yeah, that's a whole thing that happens. You don't need to look into it. All you need to know is they were very successful in that, and we will also be successful in doing it.
Right. Obviously, clearly.
But yeah. To start off, Steven, would you like to tell us your your adventures with your preparations?
Yes, I absolutely would. So, as you all know, in previous editions of the podcast, we have I have recorded from a location that we have lovingly named Steven's Corner, because it is in fact my corner. It belongs to me and no one else. And you,
in theory,
yeah. So basically, what happened with Steven's Corner right now is what it actually is, for those of you who don't know, is basically a streaming studio room type thing at my university that they have for students.
Brought to you by HyperGX or whatever they're called. I forgot.
HyperX, yeah. But basically, they're just...
That's something he would always have to say every time he was in that streaming room.
Yeah,
every time he was in that streaming room, he would always have to say it. He was legally contracted to say that. Just like, this room is brought to you by HyperX. If you want to get hyper with your ex, go to HyperX. Or whatever they do. I don't know. They probably produced the microphone.
Oh, well, I don't know if you fully realize the implications of what you just said. So I want you to...
I know what the fuck I said, Steven. Don't question my motives.
So you heard the man. If you want to get hyper with your ex, then Auburn University is the place to do it.
Why else would they call it HyperX? Why else would they call it HyperX? Think about it.
Wow, this went off the rails quick.
Yeah, go ahead and continue your story.
So basically, contractual obligations and implications by Will aside, the rooms basically had a system to reserve when you wanted to go in there and use them, wherein you would go on a website and you would say, I want to use the room during this time, and you would put that on there, and then it was on there and other people could see it. And yeah, it sometimes works because having a reservation doesn't guarantee that you actually will have to be the room, because people go in there all the time without reservations. And that has resulted in multiple instances of me having made a reservation and showing up and there just being somebody else in there doing their thing. And, you know, obviously I'm not going to interrupt them because I'm the most passive person on planet Earth. So yeah, but recently what happened is they made a new reservation system where you can't reserve online anymore. they have like a little tablet mounted on the wall outside the room, which has a system on it where you actually go in and make the reservation, and it actually will show reservations that people have made, and it'll show like when there's an active reservation and somebody's supposed to be in there. Uh, Problem with that, first of all, it doesn't work. Because I was trying to check in for my reservation that I made, and it said, "Oh, looks like you can only check in for reservations that you made." It told me that as I was trying to check in for a reservation that I made.
You didn't make it correctly enough, according to their arbitrary rules that they have.
Apparently not. And then
Like
also,
you hit the create reservation with your index when you were supposed to press that button with your pinky. That's something that you have to know. That the rule
yeah,
that they have in place.
obviously.
That's where you failed.
It was so very obvious. I have no idea how I managed to miss it. But secondly, the other issue with this system is that the new system does not fix the issue of people just going in the stream room and doing whatever they want to do without any kind of reservation, because people just do not care about the reservations and will just go into the room and do their thing. And if you have a reservation that you want to use and there's somebody else in there,
well, sucks to suck.
yeah, sucks to suck, essentially. So yeah, that's kind of what happened today again, and it made me.
And this has been a recurring thing. This is not the first time this has happened.
Yeah.
So I want y'all at home to keep that in mind.
It is the first time
when listening to him talking about this.
It is the first time that it has happened since they made their new reservation system. My point is that the new reservation system is not any better, and in some cases may actually be worse than the old method. So yeah, the being able to get Steven's Corner and record the podcast in there continues to be a complete dice roll of whether or not it's actually going to happen. So,
and that's why Jack's Day is better. We can't have a bad streaming room if we don't even have a streaming room. So ha!
Obviously, of course.
And we don't have to sponsor HyperX either if we don't even know what HyperX is, because we don't.
I don't know. I think that's just you, to be honest.
Whatever.
See, he doesn't even deny it. He doesn't even deny it.
It ain't even that important, man.
Anyway, moving on to more important areas of the podcast that don't involve my ongoing struggle against the universe itself and other people and my
this is why
college.
this is why I said Steven. I told Steven, this is Auburn's way of trying to conspire against us. They don't want you to have the corner, because they know if you have the corner, you're gonna have a great episode of the podcast, and they don't want that. They only want us to have mediocre episodes. They were the ones responsible for my audio sounding terrible last episode.
Of course, and not at all because your AirPods accidentally connected to your Mac instead of your real microphone.
That would never happen, because as we all know, Apple is a completely flawless company with no technical errors or inconveniences with their technology.
Whatever you need to tell yourself to sleep at night.
Alright. I do want to make this clear, by the way. I'm not a Apple stan, nor am I like a super fanatic. I just act like I'm one because it's funny. Like, so, because I know there are those people out there who are like, who would say everything I say, they would say unironically, while I say ironically.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. But yeah, that's just the way it is. It do be that way sometimes.
It do be that way. It do very well be that way. And while Steven was taking care of that, I had my own story of what happened earlier today. It's not as interesting as what happened with him, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
I was at the cafeteria eating dinner, and I was with some friends, and we were sitting right by a window. I
thought you were about to say a Wendy's for a second.
No, I was at the cafeteria.
And I was sitting by a Wendy's.
You wanna know what sucks, actually? The Wendy's that used to be in Jacksonville, they closed. So I no longer have a Wendy's that's close to me. Well, there is one that's like 20, 30 minutes away, but like, there
Just
used to be one that was like a minute away.
Just
like
embrace McDonald's.
I don't want to go to McDonald's for the third time this week. It gets boring.
Meanwhile, me, who at my college dining hall eats their honestly pretty mediocre pizza literally 5 times a week.
Yeah, it's like it. When it comes to my the food I eat, like 70% of the time it's at the cafeteria, and it's either the pizza or the burgers they got.
Yeah.
It's not the most healthy way of living, but you know what I mean. It's just like
Welcome to the life of a college student.
It do be that way, and one day I'll branch out. Like I'm a pretty picky eater. It's not by choice, but you know, it's just my taste buds. Whenever they try a lot of different things, they just respond with a no. Like literally, they
just no.
They just involuntarily just say no every time.
We disagree. No.
They do not concur with the intention I have of eating that particular food.
Right.
It is what it is. But the story back to the story. And while I was eating, and while me and my friends were talking, it was storming outside, and all of a sudden we just heard this like loud thunder, just boom. There was a lightning strike that happened right outside our window.
It happens sometimes.
It just struck down, caused a huge bang.
When I used to, oh sorry.
And also, from what it looks like, it also knocked down a power line. So a power truck had to come in, like the ones with the lights that like fix power lines.
Yeah. The power trucks, the ones with the lights that fix power lines.
Yeah.
Like those ones.
They had to come by and fix the power because it knocked out the power on that side of the campus. So yeah, that's basically the interesting thing about my life. So yeah. Also, at the time of recording this, finals are coming up, and the end of the semester is coming up.
The end is near.
The end is near. So after this episode, I think there's gonna be like one more episode recorded in the college dorm, and then I'm gonna be back home.
And for me, in my case, it depends on when I get back home, because I have aviation.
Which is never, as we all know.
Well, I have aviation type stuff to contend with. You know how it is.
Yeah, he has to learn how to fly planes. That useless crap.
Yeah, that useless crap. The kind of stuff that you use every time you want to go on a trip.
Anyone can
that
just fly
useless
a plane. I could fly a plane. Just put me in the driver's seat of a plane. I will make sure. I will 100% ensure everyone's safety.
Of
Nothing
course.
Let's
just take a moment to consider that obviously the person that we need to let fly a plane is the person who just called the pilot seat the driver's seat.
Wait, is that not what you do? You drive a plane? Like pilot, drive? They're similar words.
Sure. Let's go with that.
All right. Okay. As Steven says, let's move on to more important things. We're about to embark on a new segment that we've been having for a little bit, but I'm gonna make it an official segment. It's the Will's YouTube rant segment, where I rant about a new feature or something relating to YouTube. And this time around, when I showed this to Steven, he had a pretty funny response to this. So I took this screenshot on the YouTube app, and I'm gonna put it up on the video right now. But basically, what YouTube is doing now is they are offering a bunch of games, like mobile games that you can play on their app. Why they're doing this, I don't know. Why are they doing this, Steven?
I
Can
don't
you even think
know.
of an answer?
No, I cannot.
Like, this is something I've noticed with like streaming services like Netflix are doing this too, and I don't understand why. Who is gonna go on Netflix to play games? Who does that? Like, I'm genuinely like bamboozled as to like what Netflix or what any of these people are doing.
I don't know, man.
But,
I don't know. All I know is that they do be doing what they want to be doing.
so yeah, this segment is essentially just talking about just the fact that YouTube has games, which they call YouTube playables. They don't call it just games you can play. It's just YouTube playables. These are very playable games.
And that to be clear, there's no proof that these games are actually playable, because I have not played them, and obviously, as we all know,
I have the proof that at the very least a couple of them are playable because I did actually play a couple of them. Like in the screenshot you saw, Cut the Rope. I actually did play it because I low-key did miss playing that game. It pretty nostalgic. You know, Cut the Rope is a very iconic game. Like everyone understands the premise of it.
But if you want to play, if you really want to play Cut the Rope, you go on your phone and you download the real Cut the Rope. You don't use the YouTube playable version of it.
Now that's a very good point. That's a very good point. But the thing is, like, I wasn't gonna encounter this game because I had absolutely no recollection of it or thought about it before it was on YouTube. So it's like I can't say this is necessarily a bad thing, but I'm just more questioning the like usability. Like, why do this? Like, who is gonna go on YouTube for the games? Who's gonna do that?
No one.
If you're gonna, matter of fact, if you're gonna do that, at least make it like games that other YouTubers make. Like, could you imagine games based on YouTubers that you can play on YouTube?
Mr. Beast Simulator.
Yeah, Mr. Beast Simulator. Like, wouldn't that make a lot more sense?
I mean, I think it really depends.
If you're gonna do this, which is like, this is stupid to do it in the first place, but if you're gonna do it, at least do something creative. Just like, but yeah. But that news about YouTube, that's the end of the segment. That looks pretty tame compared to this next thing that I'm going to report on.
Oh no.
There's something else that I sent Steven in preparation for this. Like, look at this thing that I just found. I'm going to talk about that on the podcast episode. And that is this news I've seen, which again, I'm going to put up on the screen, that says Elon Musk says Twitter is going to start charging new users a fee before they can post, like bookmark or reply to tweets. And the only thing that they'll be able to do for free is follow or browse Twitter for free. So essentially, you gotta pay money just to tweet. Like, can you tell me what logical sense this makes?
No, because it doesn't.
Like, it was already bad enough when Elon Musk first took over. He changed the logo from Twitter to X.
Even though everybody still calls it Twitter.
A decision only he wanted to make. And because he's a billionaire, he was able to do it.
Because literally the entirety of the universe still calls it Twitter, so, you know.
You want to know what's scary? I've actually seen some people start calling it X and not Twitter. So I'm like, oh no, people are adapting to this dumbass name X. Like,
impossible.
We've gone too far. But it was bad enough when he also started implementing a thing where it's like he fucked up the whole verification thing. It used to be a thing where it's like if you were a public figure or a celebrity or a brand, you were given the verification as like a way to verify that you're the official account, because if you're famous, there's going to be people who are going to try to make copy accounts pretending to be you. So the verification thing is useful in basically differentiating the official account from all the other accounts. But the way Elon changed it is that he got rid of the whole like authentic verification thing and made it to where like you can just, if you pay for Twitter Blue, which is essentially a subscription of like $10 a month or something, you could just pay for a verification badge. And a lot of like legitimate celebrities, because they weren't paying for Twitter Blue, they lost their verification badge, and there was a bunch of fake accounts that started rising up, started bringing like posting a bunch of like obviously like meme stuff, but some of them were like spreading misinformation. But because they had the badge, people could screenshot it and like pass it off as legitimate. That was the first dumbass shit that Elon Musk did. But now this, what he's doing right here, literally like having people pay to even tweet something to begin with. Like, it's like he wants this business to fail. Like, there's legitimately no positives to this. This can only result in disaster. Anything you gotta say on that, Steven?
I mean, I think it's just a matter of greed and just people wanting to get lots of money, which really doesn't sound like it would be something that Elon Musk would care about, since he kind of is already a billionaire and he owns companies like SpaceX and Tesla, that are already like billionaire companies and make tons of money. Like, money is not something that he needs to worry about, but I still feel like it could be a thing with like greed and just, no matter how much money. That's the thing with a lot of people, and especially rich people and money, is the fact that like no matter how much money they have, they always want more.
Oh yeah, definitely. That's just how it is. And what's funny about this is today I was in my mass communications class, and because it's the end of semester, the professor essentially was just like, "Y'all want to talk about things communications based?" And like the whole classroom just kind of stared at each other in silence, and then I just kind of raised my hand and I was like, did you hear about that whole thing with Elon Musk taking away accessibility to Twitter, basically making it a pay to use thing?" And I got the professor talking about that, and what she said was she thinks that this move is going to drive, she calls it a mass extradition or something like that, where people are just gonna just straight up leave Twitter and go to other apps like Threads or other like tweet-based apps, and like Twitter is just gonna die. Like,
I mean,
Twitter's
I would not even be surprised. Like, when you take,
like, at this point,
when you take a platform
honestly,
like when you take a platform like Twitter that has been around for a really long time and has been free to use for a really long time, when you take away something that one of the main things that people like about it, that being the fact that it's free to use, then that is exactly how you kill a platform. Is you just you make it so that you can't access it without paying for it. Because when there's something that's free, a lot of the times people are there and use it because it's free. And when you make it not free, it usually kills it. I am trying to think of an example of something else that has had this happen to it in the past, like something that used to be free was made not free and then died off as a result of it. I'm sure there's an example somewhere.
I will say an example I can think of. This isn't one that was like free and then it was made pay, but Wizard 101 is a game where I loved playing it as a kid, but the way they did it was like the first bit of the game like was free, but after a good bit, in order to progress in the story further, you'd have to like pay either a membership or pay for crowns to unlock an area.
Oh yeah.
And I remember as a kid that pissed me off.
Yeah,
because I was
paywall
just
games.
like, yeah, paywall games. Like, it's not as essential. It's not the exact same examples of what you're looking for, but it's just something that's out there. But honestly, I'm gonna play devil's advocate for this change, and I will say if people do decide to leave Twitter, like here's the thing with Twitter, it is an absolute horrible, like, not all of it obviously, but when you go on Twitter, there are so many places you can go to where you could just find just a bunch of toxic stuff
Yeah,
that's just
that is
plagued
definitely
it.
true.
And so honestly, I feel like this could actually be a good thing. Like starting fresh in other social media platforms that, it's not going to be perfect there either, but like, I do think Twitter has just turned into a whirlpool of just like hate and just people just yelling at each other. And it's just not a fun place to be.
Yeah, but to be fair, I also think that charging money to even be able to use it is not really the answer. But there's also something else that I just now thought of that could be really concerning in the future. I'm pretty sure that this decision is going to significantly hurt the Twitter user base, and either it's going to have to be reversed in order to keep the platform alive, or the platform is just going to die because of it. But since we have no proof that that's actually happened yet, it's only a speculation. What we should be concerned about is if this does actually not affect the user base of Twitter as much as we thought, and Twitter stays alive even after showing off this, like, thing that people would consider to be stupid, then what's going to happen, or what I think could possibly happen, is that other social media companies are going to look at Twitter doing this and see that, like, now they're charging money to be able to use their platform, and if it doesn't hurt their user base and starts making them more money, then other social media platforms are going to look at this and be like, hey, if it worked for them, won't it work for us too? And we could see other social media platforms start to employ this tactic, and eventually social media could just become a paywall gated thing in general, which is a scary thing to think about. I don't think that's actually going to happen, but it's an angle to consider.
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure if Facebook or Instagram are going to fall for this because, like, I know for a fact Instagram still has their verification thing, like, the way that it was meant to be used still. Like, the fact that Twitter changed it didn't mean that Instagram decided to change it. So I find it very unlikely that they would actually do that. But that's an interesting what if scenario.
Yeah.
I mean,
Like
to
I
be
said, I
fair,
don't think it's actually going to happen. It's just a possibility to consider.
if that did end up happening, where social media was just complete, like you just couldn't post on there. I mean, if you're just a regular person, then it's just kind of like a okay thing, because like there's like honestly that would make a lot of people find more ways to spend their free time, and that could lead to more people being productive. I'm just
Maybe.
saying.
Maybe.
I like to be the optimist in situations like this.
I guess,
So
yeah. I'm generally not that much of an optimist, especially when, you see social media companies start to try and pull shit like this. It's kind of hard to be optimistic about it, but you know what? Let's be
like
optimistic.
as for me, I don't use social media hardly ever.
Neither do I,
Like
to be fair.
I
I
don't
don't use
post
Twitter.
anything. I don't hardly go on any of the apps. I don't remember the last time I was on Facebook ever.
Yeah, me neither, to be honest.
And
I have an account there solely because of my family, because I used it at some point to do something. I don't know, but I definitely don't use it now. So
yeah, I just think that the more you try to immerse into social media, the worse you'll feel.
yeah,
And
I
that's
mean
not me
it's
trying to
it's
like
kind of
dictate what
a
other people do. It's just kind of how the attitude I run with it. And it's not to say that I don't use any social media. I mean, I use Discord for this podcast, but also to be in servers that deliver news about pop culture, like
yeah. Well, Discord, to
pop
be fair,
culture. or like music news and stuff like that. So it's like I still keep up to date with news that relates to pop culture and things that I care about. It's just kind of like the fun thing about Discord is there's just several channels that have like bots that can like pull tweets and then put it on there. So that's what I prefer to do instead of scrolling through Twitter for that.
Yeah, I think Discord is also a little bit of a different case because it's more of a communication app than a social
Right.
media. It's not something
Right.
where you like post and stuff like that. It's more for directly communicating with people. Obviously, we still have like servers and DMs and stuff like that, but servers are basically just a collection of channels where people talk. It's not really a thread of posts like you would find on Twitter. So it's a little different.
But
Some people still consider it social media, but I just think that the
like there's
dynamic is
servers
different.
that like implement bots to like give news from like other tweets.
Yeah.
And that's what I use to like I like go through servers to like look at different news. See new music that's dropping and also just like general pop culture news like yeah. And
Yeah.
it's stuff that I personally use it for. So yeah. Those are our first two topics about social media. Let's talk about something else.
There was when I was sitting and waiting for the stream room to see if or Steven's corner rather to see if it was actually gonna open up and me be able to use it. I actually did see while I was scrolling on YouTube a pretty funny video where someone
Oh
actually
yeah.
I sent this to Will like a few minutes before we were supposed to record. Basically, someone gaslit ChatGPT into telling you that 2 + 2 = 5.
Yeah. I saw this video.
It was actually hilarious.
I found it to be really funny. So basically, they would type in "What's 2 + 2?" Chat GPT would be like, 2 + 2 = 4. And then they were like, no, it equals 5. And they were like, okay, 2 + 2 = 5. And they kept doing it until they got to the point where anytime they asked 2 + 2, they would say 2 + 2 = 5. And it was actually really funny the way they were able to just gaslight Chat GPT.
Yeah.
Just,
I pulled this out because I sent it to Will because I thought it was interesting and funny, and I also think that it kind of says something about the state of AI right now. Everybody's talking about how they think AI is going to take over. I raise this video and say we've got a while to go before that happens, because AI can do some things, but it is still pretty dumb right now.
yes. Like, it's very gullible.
Yeah.
Now, to be fair, you could also use this weakness to have them be like, tell them humans are bad. And if you tell it to that robot like enough times, they will be like, yes, humans are bad. And you tell Chat GPT, we need to eradicate them, and tell them that several times until Chat GPT is like, we need to eradicate them. So this weakness could be used against us as well. So, but yeah. I do agree how like people who are like scared of AI purely because of like the possibilities of what it could do, like it is something we do need to be cautious of. But I don't think AI is something we need to entirely be scared of. At least
Yeah.
not yet. Because if you've seen The Matrix, you know how the storyline goes.
Yeah.
But as of right now, AI is just something that's just a tool. And like robots, we've been working on robots for like a while. So it's like, I feel like there are a lot of safeguards that are being put into place. Or at least I hope there are.
Probably, yeah.
Like, I assume that would be like the standard of like any type of artificial intelligence. Or like anything that could theoretically lead to disastrous consequences. Like, I have to assume safeguards are put into place. Like that would just be the common sense thing to do.
Right.
But yeah, AI is just one of the things. There's this YouTuber who I've been getting into recently called Doug, and I think he's like a programmer or someone who knows how to program and like work with AI, and he incorporates AI into his videos pretty humorously, and like AI has gotten really good at mimicking like naturally now natural.
Yeah. Will tries
I'm trying.
to. Will struggles with words.
AI has gotten good at naturalistic like delivery and voices. And Doug, you can check out his channel. I might link it in the description if I remember to do it. But a lot of his videos are very funny. There's just like, can AI take over this country in this simulator? Or it's like, can I have AI answer my emails like a secretary? And like he'll like have his chat give like characteristics to the AI that the AI will embody as the secretary, and he has his AI like come up with responses to his emails. So if any of that sounds interesting to y'all watching at home, go ahead and check him out. He's very funny. I give him the to make a certain stamp of recommendation.
With the seal of approval.
The seal of approval.
You're allowed to go watch him now because we said so.
Yes. You weren't allowed beforehand, but now you're allowed. We've given you permission. But yeah. That was a funny video you sent me, Steven. I'll give you credit for that. All right.
At least I get credit for something on this channel.
Yeah. So, before we even started this episode, I saw that while we were doing the test run to ensure that the audio sounded good, which, by the way, if it sounds awful right now, we have no idea. Like, does it sound good to you, Steven?
It sounds good to me, personally, just from what I can hear.
But if it exports and somehow sounds bad, all this talk about my audio used to be sounding bad, but now it sounds...
Wow. Right on cue, as we were talking about audio, Will's internet actually died.
Did the test run, and then after we did that test run, I saw that Steven was playing a game, which, by the way, on Discord it still says playing a game trove for 53 minutes.
I don't know. I think that's lying. Anyway,
you don't even need to deny it because what I'm going to say. So I made a joke, like, really, Steven, you're still playing games while we're doing the podcast?
Oh.
And so what I did in protest was I took my phone, my iPad, and everything. I just put a bunch of sports clips on at the same time. I'm like, I'm just going to watch sports. And so I had hockey, I had basketball, and I had football going on at the same time.
To be fair,
I was just going to do the entire podcast like, hey, yo, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to... Whoa, that was a cool play. Okay.
To be
hey,
fair...
Yo, what's up, everybody? Welcome... Wait, hold on. That was a really cool
To
play.
be fair...
Like, oh, wow, look at that.
The sports... To be fair, the sports that you had up were, like, actually being audible on the podcast and, like, you know, interfering
I also, like,
with discussion.
I also turned up the volume of them so that they would be, like...
So... Even if I was playing games on the podcast, which I'm not, by the way, but let's just say hypothetically, for the sake of the argument, that I was, then, you know, me doing something on the computer doesn't really affect the podcast because, like, the viewers can't see it or hear it, and honestly, you know, it doesn't really. It's basically. If you're watching the podcast as a viewer, you can't tell that it's going on, which is why, you know, I'm not playing games right now, and nobody's going to deny that because there's no proof otherwise. So...
Right. But I was just making a joke like, wow, you're really focused on this during the podcast, which I get. playing games, like, if it's a game that doesn't take like much,
Yeah, and I
like
did used to play games during the podcast. I would play like Minecraft, I think, was one that I played a lot, and that was where the joke from the original intro that we had about Steven playing Hello Kitty games came in,
yes.
because back then I was
Because
playing.
he would not disclose what game he was actually playing. So I would say he's playing Hello Kitty games, and until he denies this with proof that he's actually playing something else, this is the reality that we are living in. He
Yeah,
is playing Hello Kitty games.
that was basically it was basically like to the point where when I was doing that, it was to the point where I literally was like less participant on the podcast because of the fact that I was playing games, and it was like impeding my ability to pay attention and discuss topics. So it was pretty obvious to Will and probably to the
Yes.
viewers as well that
And
I was
also,
doing something else in the background.
And
And so he
also, I
started
don't know
making
if
jokes
it was the
about
way
it.
your microphone was set up, but I could also hear the game sounds.
Yeah,
While
it was
you were
that
playing.
that was because I used desktop audio and OBS to record Will, because obviously Will's voice comes in through Discord. So I used desktop audio and OBS to record it, and desktop audio also picks up whatever other sound is playing on my desktop, which would be games that I'm playing. So
Yeah.
that's a thing.
But I say all that to say, I did the practical joke of like having sports on, and then I took down some of them. But there's one that I've actually kept up, and I've had on during this entire podcast. Like that while we're talking, I like glance over it to see how they're doing. I'm gonna grab it. By the way, it's a hockey game. It's the Dallas Stars and the St. Louis Blues. I'm a Dallas Stars fan. I've been getting into hockey recently, so that's why I've been watching. So far, no scores have been made. I will report on if scores are made at any time during this podcast. So don't you worry.
Don't you worry.
And
There
also,
will be a report.
if I wanted to, I could turn it on and have it be audio.
Chicago, Columbus, several years ago.
Right.
We're just gonna make this a sports podcast now.
Hey, yo, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Make Stern. Don't worry about that sports game I'm listening to. I am 100% invested in what we're talking about. All right, Steven, you want to talk about YouTube for the 50th time today?
So YouTube playables, am I right?
But yeah, let me go ahead and turn this down. I've just been having it on mute. The one of the Blues players almost got a goal, but they missed, thankfully. And now they've gone to commercial where there's a guy that looks like Ian Heacock. Anyways, I'm getting distracted. Let's talk about
And this is what it would be like if we actually did this.
yes. So yeah. All right. So Steven, you want to talk about anything else?
I'm trying to think if there's a topic. I had probably the most interesting technology and civilization class of the entire year today, because we're in the part of the semester where they're talking about like modern technology and computers and stuff like that. And I haven't really talked about it much on the podcast because I know it doesn't really lie with Will's interests. So I try to avoid talking about things that only one of us are interested in. But
well, that doesn't stop me from talking about things that only I'm interested in. So you might as well go ahead and talk about things that you're interested in.
Yeah, the
and
point
we'll
being,
see if I'm actually invested in it.
The point being that I don't really talk about it on the podcast because of that, but I am really like a big like computers and technology kind of person. So this week,
so basically, what you're saying is you're a nerd.
Yes, basically. So this week in technology and civilization
Sorry, that was me.
Particularly interesting because of that. And I just thought it was worth pointing out. I actually participated in class, which is something I usually don't do.
Wow, snitching on himself. Hey, professors, look! He doesn't pay attention in class! This is grounds for flunking him. He doesn't deserve to be in the air flying planes. He doesn't even pay attention in class.
Of
Now,
course,
if you'll
of course.
excuse me, I'm going to watch this hockey game.
Of course, because obviously, because of the fact that I don't pay attention in a technology and civilization class and don't know what's something that I actually know about. That's how much I don't pay attention in the class. I actually can't even name a fact from the class that I don't need to know because I don't know it. That's kind of the point.
All right, proceed.
But yeah, because of the fact that I don't know this random fact about technology and civilization, I'm obviously not fit to fly airplanes.
Yeah, that's right. All right, go ahead. What's this interesting technology that's happening nowadays?
Oh, just computers in general. It was basically a history of like computers and like gaming as well. And as you know, I'm like a huge gamer who is absolutely not playing games during the podcast because I have more respect for the podcast than that. But I am a gamer and I do play games in times when I am not recording a podcast. So, you know, something that's really interesting. I don't know if Will's trying to make it look like the video lagged out or if he's just that unimpressed by what I've just said.
You wanna know what one video I wish I sent to you before this? Because it was a really funny video. It's a video of a guy who... The topic of the video is essentially, he has these fries, and he starts out the video by asking, are these the world's most crispy fries? Let's find out.
Let's find out now, on to whom it may concern.
Okay. That's literally how he started the video. Like, he had intro music going on.
He was just staring at the camera.
Just like...
What a great way to start a video. No real intro, just intro music while you stare at the camera.
But yeah, I'll show it to you after the podcast. The video is at home. If you want to look at it, just put in the search bar, are these the world's most crispy fries, and you'll find it.
Yeah, because obviously Will is way too lazy to actually make a proper link in the description for something that we talk about on the podcast. That would just be too much work.
I probably also said some things that I said I was going to put in the podcast earlier in the podcast, but I'm not sure if I even remember what they were, even right now. So, oops.
Look at this man who is supposed to be our producer, the person who knows everything that's going on, and look at him. Look at this disorganization.
Just look at me. Just look at me.
I argue that we should rise up. We should overthrow this tyranny. I should be the producer of this podcast. I raise to you, the viewer. Hey, yo, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of To Whom It May Concern. We are back once again with another episode for you guys. In this episode, I will be hosting, and Will be the sidekick who responds to the topics that I bring up.
No.
How do you like that, William the Hooster?
You know what I might do? I might, and it's going to be ironic considering what I just said, but I might clip that and have that as a coming up segment at the beginning before it cuts to intro.
Just be like, on today's episode of the podcast, and then just cut to that.
Yes. And that might also be the title of the episode. Steven overthrows Will as host of the podcast.
Because as we all know, that's what actually happened, and it's very true and definitely not a joke, and I will be the producer of the podcast on the next episode, so stay tuned.
All right. Well, how long has it been, this podcast recording?
We have been rolling for 49 minutes and counting.
49 minutes. All right. I am out of topics. So that is it for today. My hockey team did not score any points, but neither did the other side. It's been a very boring game so far, where nothing has happened so far. Hockey is one of those sports where it's just like, you know, it's very similar to soccer in the way that it works, where it's like there's some games where it's like constant points back and forth, and there's other games where it's just like they can go on for a good while before any points happen at all. It's just
Yeah,
kind of one of those
I
sports.
think baseball is kind of one of those sports because like you can have. It's very common, especially in high level baseball, like at the MLB and between teams that are very good. It's very common for there to just be no runs scored for several innings.
Oh yeah. The difference with baseball and like hockey is that baseball kind of works in the same way as football, as in it very much is like turn based, where it's like each team has a turn to like play and like do something. Because you know how in baseball, like, is always just like each batting round is just like someone gearing up to bat,
Yeah.
and everything just goes quiet until they either swing, hit it, and home run, or whatever, or they swing, miss it, and it's a strikeout, or they don't hit, they don't swing at all, and it's either a strike or a ball. But it's always kind of like it goes and then it stops, it goes and then it stops. Same thing with football. They line up formation, they do the play. If
Yeah.
they get yards, yay. If not, nay. And then everything kind of like they regroup, and then yeah. Meanwhile, with games like hockey, basketball, soccer, the game always goes. It's always going. The puck is either on this side or on this side. The basketball is either this side or this side. Soccer ball is either this side, and it's just like it's always ever changing.
Yeah,
So
that's why me personally, and I'm not really into sports in general, but in terms of the sports that I actually do have some level of interest in, it's usually football and baseball because those sports are based on plays where the game will just like stop and then there'll be a play where something happens and then the play ends and then the next play happens and it's kind of like that. I kind of like sports that are like that and not the sports that are ongoing like hockey where it's like basically gameplay continues until somebody scores. Um,
I get that.
I
I
don't know
100%
why.
get that.
I don't know why. I just find the play based games like football and baseball to be uh more interesting. And again, like that's not to say that I enjoy those sports like outright or that I enjoy sports in general. It's just that I'm not into sports that much, but of the sports that, you know, if I had to pick a sport, if I had to pick a sport, then it would probably be one of those two.
Right. And I'm kind of on that boat too. But the thing I like about hockey in particular, I like how like physically aggressive they get when they like slam into each other, because they're
Yeah.
on ice and they're skating as opposed to just running. They're able to just like slide on the ice, and like whenever a puck is over there, they'd like slam into each other. And also physical like fist fights are very common in this sport. It's one of those things where it's like the referee doesn't even get involved like automatically. They just kind of let it happen, and then if it brawls out for too long, then they will interfere. But generally speaking, if there's a fight, like it's something that's like really expected. And I feel like there's no other sport that's really like that, or at least in this type of like wrestling. Obviously, it's part of the sport of fighting, but like you know, you know how football teams occasionally there'll be a fight that breaks out
Yeah.
between two players as they tackle each other, and
I
how
think
like
I
the
think it's
referees.
I think it's also funny cuz like if you look at hockey and soccer, they're two very similar sports. You have an object, be it a puck or a ball, that is being basically maneuvered by both teams to get it into a goal that's on either end of a rectangular court or field. They're very similar games in concept. In hockey, it's extremely physical, and like you'll just have fights and stuff like that without
That's what
referees
makes it fun.
ever getting involved. And then soccer's just the complete opposite, where players don't even have to touch each other.
Sport.
Players
It's
don't even have to
pacifist
touch
sport.
each other, and like something can happen.
They
And
don't even use their hands. They always use their feet
yeah.
to like kick around the ball. And
I just think
I'm not saying that's.
I just think
I'm
it's
not saying that's
funny.
necessarily bad. It's just you know the contrast is funny.
I just think it's funny that like the sports are so similar in terms of gameplay, and yet the culture of them is so different.
Yeah. And I also love too how hockey, which is a very Canadian sport, like in its roots, and you know how Canada has that stereotype of like just the gosh darn jolliest nice people,
Yeah.
and their sport is just like if you bump someone too hard, it's just like. I just think that's funny. But yeah, I love how we said we had no more topics, and then we got right into talking about sports. And
Yeah.
I will say one more thing about sports. I've been like, there's a lot of I'm gonna sound like a complete nerd myself here, but when it comes to anime, when it comes to sport animes, there's only ever two that really seem to like be prevalent, and that's baseball anime and soccer anime. Like that, I've only been able to find one American football anime and one hockey anime, and they both suck. Like I just want an anime like the anime style. Like even if you don't watch anime, are you at the very least aware of the style of anime?
Oh yeah.
And how over the top it is. Imagine that with hold on, let me make a correction. There's also basketball and like tennis, if you care about tennis.
The tennis is really more of a one-on-one sport, so
Right. But well, tennis is also a team thing where it's like there's also
okay. I forget doubles exist.
Sorry. I meant to say volleyball. I meant to say volleyball anime, as opposed to tennis. Sorry.
I
I'm
would
sure there's a
love
tennis anime out there, but I'm talking about volleyball anime. There's a very popular one called Haiku, I think it's.
I would love to
don't
see a
remember.
volleyball anime for unrelated reasons.
But what do you mean by that?
Nothing in particular.
You realize it's like a boys volleyball team, right?
Okay, so
Steven?
volleyball is my least favorite sport, actually.
Steven? Steven! Did you just say something incredibly perverted just now?
No, I don't. You guys did. Cut that out. Cut.
What?
Cut.
Why, Steven? Why?
If this segment isn't removed, I'm rioting. I'm gonna be watching the
As
episode.
always, please like and subscribe for another episode to make sure and bye.